Hello there. All right, here we go. A Q&A video. I didn't really realize what I was signing up for when I decided to do this. It's been tough answering some of these questions. There's a lot of good questions that came in, so thank you everybody that sent over questions. I made a handy dandy list in my notebook here, so I have chosen 18 questions to answer. Without further ado, let's get into it. Question number 1. How is the laundry situation? Okay, I'm going to be very honest with you in all of my answers, so prepare yourself if you need to. Here's how the laundry situation goes. I've been on the road almost 4 months, and I have done my laundry officially 2 times. Okay, it seems very few now that I really think about it. Anyways, the first time was in Wyoming, where I met up with some of my friends out there, and in the cabin that they were renting, there was a washer and dryer. Therefore, I was able to do my laundry for free. The second time was in Washington State, all the way in the Olympic Peninsula, where I was staying at a very random, strange, interesting place. I was able to stay there for free for a few days, and they had a washer and dryer I could use, which was also free. So I have never paid for laundry on my trip so far. I also did a couple of river washings along the way in some very nice, clean rivers. So maybe you're wondering how bad I smell all the time. I don't think I smell that bad. Like, maybe that's just me saying that. I don't know for sure, but I've never had anybody tell me I smell bad. I like to smell good. So you just have to be very careful with when and what type of clothing you wear. And you can really go a lot longer than you think with very few clothes. Question number 2, which kind of has to do with laundry. Do you wear a different pair of underwear every day? I'm gonna make you do some math on this one. So I counted this morning. I have 7 pairs of underwear with me. I used to have 8. 1 pair was in desperate need of retirement. So I retired that pair maybe a month and a half ago. So I've done my laundry twice in 4 months, and I have 7 pairs of underwear. So you can do the math to figure out how often I switch through that underwear. If you want to, or if you don't want to think about it, then just don't, okay? Oof. All right, like I said, as long as you're careful, you can go longer than you think with most things. Okay, question number 3. How do you decide where to go next? Okay, so there's several factors involved. One being just like a general idea of like where in the United States do I want to check out. This year I wanted to get to Washington, and that was like all the way on the other side of the United States for me. So I just figured, well, what's in between? And then kind of plan my route based on that and where I want to go in between. Another kind of question that's involved with that is like, what kind of apps and websites do I use to figure out what to do or where to stay? An app that I use all the time is called iOverlander. I use that app a lot to find places to park overnight. That app also shows me where I can fill up with water, which has been super helpful. I've honestly used that almost every time to find water for my tank, and certain other things like showers or interesting places to stop and visit. For finding dirt bike trails or places to check out on the dirt bike, I use Avenza and also Onyx Off-Road. Google is a great resource. Like, you come into a town and you just type in interesting things to do in whatever town you're in or state or whatever, and lots of stuff comes up on there. The way that I found a lot of interesting places that you can't find online is just talking to people that live in the area. I'm always running into people whenever I'm on a hike or at the gas station or wherever, and oftentimes you just say, hey, how's it going? And start a conversation. Oh, you live around here? And oh, hey, do you know of anything cool to check out around here? Or in national parks when you're on a hike and there's a certain person that you pass that comes to this park all the time and they know all the best places in the park, and get some pretty good ideas that way. So honestly, like, just talking to people, like, you can get some pretty cool ideas of where to go, either like right where you're at there or in a particular state. Another deciding factor of where I go is temperature. That's one thing that I have found that makes van life comfortable or not is temperature. The route I chose this year, I kind of chased the weather. Okay, question number 4. What is the MPG on your van? So right now, my computer system is saying 14.3 miles a gallon. I always check when I fill up manually because I don't trust those computers sometimes. And that's actually a pretty good average. Sometimes I get a little bit more than that if I'm on the highway. If I'm driving through a mountain pass, it'll drop down to a little above 13 miles a gallon. So it definitely fluctuates from where I'm at, but saying 14.3 is actually, I would say, a pretty good average. Question number 5. Do you have any other plant friends besides Roger, or is he an only child? So I would consider him an only child. I do have one other plant. Let me go get him. This is my other plant. It hangs above my stove area, but it's fake. And since it's fake, it doesn't deserve a name. And it's also kind of melting. You can kind of see how this side here is like more flat than this side, is because the stove is like right here. And I've actually had this thing drip a few times because it gets so hot and kind of just is melting a little bit, but that's okay. So yes, I do consider Roger to be an only child, and I am honestly surprised how well this plant has done given the crazy temperature changes it has seen. Like, this thing has probably been in here when it's 150 degrees in here, and a couple nights ago it was 7 degrees for a low. And I'm sure it was probably a little bit warmer in here, but not a whole lot. Okay, question number 6. What is something you miss about living in one place all the time? So what I came up for this question is a shower. There's definitely days where it would be so nice just to be like, oh, I'm gonna go take a shower, but nope, I can't because there's nothing around, and I'm either in a place where I don't wanna like set up my shower system in the back, or my water is freezing cold and I'm not gonna take a freezing cold shower. So like, just the convenience of a shower is kind of nice sometimes. I would say another thing that I miss sometimes is having an oven. There's definitely some things that I used to make for dinner that was just super easy to pop in the oven. Can't make a frozen pizza, you know, it's just, I find myself missing that sometimes. But both of those things are things that definitely could be incorporated in a van, but I decided not to put in my van. I guess another thing that I would say is a community that's like always around. I used to live in a pretty small town before I moved to the van, and I enjoyed always driving around town and like everybody knows each other, and just like you drive around and oh hey, there's him, and then oh there's another guy, and then bump into him at the gas station and see her at the grocery store. Like, I kind of enjoyed that, and I guess that's different, you know, depending on the city that you live in. If you live in a small town, you probably know what I'm talking about, and I enjoy that. Like, that's something that was always fun to me, living in a small town. So the next question number 7, is something that'll kind of tie into that, and that is, what do you do for social life? So for me, I can go without seeing people for quite a while and not have a problem with it. Like, I definitely like my alone time. I like to be away from people, but I enjoy talking with people as well. So that's something that I enjoy about this lifestyle, I guess, because I can kind of get whatever I want either way. It just kind of depends on where I'm parking or where I'm going. Like, you can park in areas that are just hundreds of miles from anything, you're not going to see anybody, or you can park at a Walmart parking lot or a super busy national park and you're bound to run into people, and as long as you say hi, you probably have somebody to talk to, you know? But let me show you something back here real quick. So I have this board here that I put on the inside of my door, and I thought it'd be fun to have people that I meet sign it along the way. So just to give you a short look here, it's by no means full or anything at this point, but I've had quite a few awesome people be able to sign it along the way. I would say most of the people on this board are people that I actually like sat down and have a conversation with, or went on a hike with, or parked next to for a while. So I could have had a lot more people sign it, but a lot of people, you know, just like people just bump into it for a couple of seconds and just forget to have them sign it, or we're just passing by and it just doesn't really happen. So like, this many people are people that I've like had deeper conversations with or like hung out for a little bit of time. So I've met tons of people all the time. I feel like I've been pretty social on this trip overall, actually. So another thing that people were asking, and this kind of ties into it, another thing that I've enjoyed doing is going to different churches along the way and meeting people there. And that's also something that I enjoy, talking to people a lot. If you're somebody that I met and we've hung out for a little bit of time, this is probably something that's come up in our conversations. Like, I just like talking about people's faith and searching for truth in what people believe, and just see what people believe and share my faith with them as well. So it's been really awesome. Like, all of you that have had conversations with me along the way, I really appreciate that, and I think we both benefited from our conversations. So alrighty, next question. What is the hardest part about van life? I would say discipline. So examples of that, like every time that I move the van, I have to put everything away so it doesn't just start falling over, you know? So if I cook dinner and wash dishes and want to drive over to the park or the gas station or wherever I want to go, like everything has to get packed up, and it's just kind of like, at first it was like, oh, this is a pain, you know? Or I'm constantly sweeping my floor because like I live on like 50 square feet of floor space, so it's like it's just always getting dusty and dirty, and I like things to be relatively clean. So there's just little things, because I live in such a small space, that like always have to be done in order to stay orderly or clean, or even just like not having things fall over when I drive around. So, but the longer I've done it, it just becomes normal life, and I don't really think about it as much anymore. Like when I first got going, it was something that was kind of like, ugh, you know, but now it's like, it's just what I have to do. All right, next question. What would you change about your van? Not much, honestly. I'm pretty happy with the way I thought things through originally when I was building it. I kind of go back and forth on the bed setup once in a while, being right behind the seats here. Honestly, I don't think I would change it at this point. The one other thing that was very frustrating to me, and I still have to change, is the location where I fill my water tank. It's just not ideal how it is right now, but I have a plan. I've ordered stuff to get it fixed, and I'm going to be changing that in the next few weeks, and I think it's going to be a lot better. All right, next, what does your typical day look like? I can't really answer that very specifically, because like every day is so different. It all depends on where I'm at. If I'm driving from one place to another, like I could be in a town where there's like not much to do and just parking there overnight, or I could be in an area that has just so much stuff to do and it's like hard to decide what to do. So I've learned it's kind of finding a balance of just being able to stay busy wherever you're at. All right, next question. In what state do the friendliest squirrels and prairie dogs reside? It's kind of funny that somebody asked this, because it has been funny to watch, especially the squirrels. They change literally like every state that you're in, or like even between states. So I'm actually looking at one here. I'm in Nebraska right now, and I could see that it's a big red squirrel out there. So one state that'll be these like teeny tiny little gray squirrels, and they're just like, they look like chipmunks, but they're squirrels, and they're real funny and fast, and they crawl around everywhere. And then you go and see these massive big red squirrels. And then to answer the question, the friendliest squirrels, I think it was in Washington, there's these black squirrels, and they're like black, and they were big as well, and they like walked almost more like dogs or something. It was strange, but they like run right up to you, and it was like, holy crap. I was like thinking I was gonna crawl up my legs a couple times. So I would say those are probably the friendliest, seeming like they weren't afraid. I think that was like in Bellingham area or Burlington, Washington, where I was running into those. So as far as prairie dogs go, I would have to say South Dakota, specifically, I'm trying to find the location here, Sage Creek Campground near the Badlands National Park. So if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. Like, you park right out in the desert, and there's holes everywhere, and they just pop up out of nowhere. Like, you're just sitting in your chair, and there's one like right there and right there. It's pretty fun to watch. They're just crawling all over the campsite there. So next question, what is the biggest challenge you've faced so far? To that question, I would say the initial first month or so of living in the van. The reason being is because my whole life up until this point has been very scheduled. Like, I've had a schedule for everything. Like, I worked full-time before this. I had a lot of other commitments. I was on a volunteer fire department, so I had a pager on me all the time. So I was fairly involved in my community and with other people, and just like always had this going on every single day, all the time. Like, that's always been my life up until I left in the van, and I literally had zero commitments other than deciding where I'm going to drive that day. So that was weird, just not having anything that I have to do. It was just a different way of thinking. So I would say after like 3 or 4 weeks is kind of when I started adjusting to that more and getting more used to that feeling of just making my own schedule every day. I just went on a potty break. Alrighty, what made you abandon normal life and become a hippie? Alright, I'm only half hippie. Okay, I have long hair, I live in a van, I've parked down by the river a few times, but compared to some hippies out there, I'm not really a hippie. But I'm kind of a hippie. So anyways, I abandoned normal life because I was ready to change things up. What kind of started the whole changing things up is I knew that I wanted to change where I worked. I had been there almost 5 years and it was a really good job and probably could have stayed there for quite a while if I wanted to, but I just didn't think it was something that I wanted to do for a very long time. And I felt like now is the time to try new things and experiment with new types of work and figure out what is something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So when I was thinking of things that I could do next or what's the next step, I was thinking at the same time, I was like, I should do something unique or different for a little while. So I actually had plans to move overseas at the beginning of this year, but then COVID kind of messed up my plans. So long story short, I still thought now is a good time to get out and do something unique that I'd probably never be able to do if I had a full-time career, and just get out and do it while I can. So I guess just a little bit of wanderlust or adventurous spirit in me kind of is what pushed me to do something strange like this, I guess. So I guess that's why I abandoned normal life and became a hippie for the time being. Which kind of leads into the next and last question. Where are you now and where are you headed? So currently I am in, hey Siri. Yeah, Grand Island, Nebraska. Anyways, I am headed back to Wisconsin actually for November and December. Originally, I was planning on avoiding all of the cold months this year, but I started to have a lot of little reasons that it would have been nice to head back to Wisconsin for a little bit. In the end, just kind of seemed like the right thing to do, and my plan right now is right after Christmas, I'm going to be heading south. Can't tell you exactly where yet, but I'm going to find somewhere that's warm. So, wrapping things up, I hope you found this video interesting and you were able to learn a little bit more about my lifestyle and kind of how my life looks right now. And again, thanks to everybody who asked a question. This has been kind of fun to kind of think through my trip and be able to answer some of these for you guys. So like I said, since I'm heading home for the next couple of months, I'm not going to consistently put out videos on Monday and Friday like I have been, because I'm going to be pretty busy working, getting the van ready to go again, and probably won't have much time to work on videos. I definitely want to fill you in on what I change in the van, things that I am going to leave home, and other things that I want to bring with me. So you may see a few videos in the next few months. And then once I hit the road again in early January, I want to keep bringing you guys more and more content and hopefully make it more and more interesting. Anyways, make sure to tune in on Monday's video. I made a short video, recap kind of my trip so far, some people that I met along the way, and just some cool sights. So make sure to check that video out. And then after that, we'll see what happens. But thank you to everybody that subscribed so far, and let's keep growing this channel. So keep subscribing if you haven't already, share it with your friends, and let's get the word out. Until next time, talk to you later.